What's going on, everyone? So after receiving a little bit of inspiration from some of the threads on the Nerdfighter forum, Your Pants, I decided to make my own Thoughts from Places video. So that's what this video is. I hope you guys enjoy. If you have any ideas, comments, or suggestions, leave them in the comments. Unlike your traditional Thoughts from Places video, mine doesn't start with me waking up at some ungodly hour of the morning. It starts with a beautiful Sunday afternoon. After looking out my window, I decided I couldn't let a day like this go to waste, so I got dressed for a motorcycle ride. As I set out, the only thing that I really needed to do was fill up my leaky front tire and get going. As I rode, I didn't choose a specific direction or destination. Today I would ride simply for the sake of riding. As I meandered the familiar paths of my hometown, I found myself drawn in a direction I had never been before. I took Lindsay Road south, towards the unknown. Along this road I found many places where the landscape seemed at odds with itself. Perfectly manicured lawns and shrubbery sit a road's breadth from untamed, undeveloped fields. There were places where the land is in the middle of construction, and others where it seemed as though the land had been forgotten altogether. I rode on. My journey took an unexpected turn when I found that the road I had traveled so many times to the north actually had an end at the south. Lindsay Road ends in a place called Hunt Highway. This place is by far the most drastic contrast between the city and where the wilderness still resides. Looking around, it is almost as though the city is being held at bay by some unseen force of nature, keeping the wild beyond free and untouched. I took a left and kept going. It wasn't long before I found myself held at bay by that same invisible force. The road I was on ended in a gravel road, a place my motorcycle with its street tires would never be able to traverse. I turned around and resolved to make the next left I could, towards that untamed landscape. It was as though the wild was calling to me, asking me to ride on and see what beauties I had been missing. It wasn't long at all before I had found my left, and the road I had been unknowingly searching for this whole time. This was a road that would take me from the planned and manicured city into a place I did not know, that somehow meant me feel at home. It didn't take long before all I could see was the road in front of me, and the vast farmlands with the mountains as a backdrop. I kept riding. After crossing another highway with no name, I found myself at a small bridge crossing a flood channel. I chose to stop here. Something about the broken beer bottles on the ground and the graffiti on the concrete told me this was a place to think and ponder, as it had been for many others before me. I got off my motorcycle and walked the bridge, the warm Arizona wind whipping through my hair. I realized that from the outside this place might look trashy to others, and would be discounted and forgotten almost immediately. But I knew better. There is history here, I thought. How many people with untold stories walked this very same bridge, or spent their late nights drinking with friends in the flood basin? This made me realize there are so many things that go unappreciated in our state, and in our world. How many of those people driving by on the highway have really stopped just to admire the beauty of this state, and remember it before it is taken over by the ever-advancing city? It's almost dinner time, I had to remind myself. It was time to go. On my way back towards the city, I felt the urge to stop at Barnes & Noble. It was almost as though being so far from the city made the creature comforts it offered all the more tempting. I got my coffee and perused my favorite section of the store, the fantasy and sci-fi books. It's like the desire for adventure follows me wherever I go. This place got me thinking some more, even though at this point I wasn't sure that was even possible. I started thinking that all those comforts and amenities we create for ourselves might be taking away from the beauty that the world already has to offer. How many people do you know who are willing to put down their Starbucks and internet just to go hiking in a place they've never been? Perhaps the world we are creating is robbing us of the world we already live in. I realize this is a question that can't be answered over a single cup of coffee, alone in a bookstore. I finally headed home. Back at my house, with all these big questions and thoughts running through my head, I tucked my motorcycle away in its garage again. Regardless of what questions I may have about this beautiful state and the world around us, my motorcycle will still be there waiting to go on another adventure into the unknown.